I have spent the majority of my life living in Utah, with the exception of a few years spent in Wyoming. For the past couple of years, I have worked as an Uber Eats driver throughout the Utah area. The events I am about to describe took place only about 5 days ago. I had just finished up a long shift of delivering food and was catching up with my mother over the phone. During our conversation, I had the sudden idea to go find an old apartment complex where we had lived when I was much younger. Under normal circumstances, I always carry my new 9mm pistol with me for protection. However, on this particular day, I had left it at home. I decided to drive back to my house first to pick it up. I did not want to find myself in a bad situation without any form of defense. My mother had helped me by doing some research on the address. Back when I was a child, the complex was known as Midtown Villa. It was a quiet place back then and was never known for having any gang activity. Once I had the address, I entered it into Google Maps and began the drive over there. When I finally pulled into the complex, I noticed that the name had been changed to the Calaveras. The buildings and grounds actually looked much better and more updated than they did years ago. Because the area looked nice, I allowed myself to let my guard down. Looking back on that decision now, I regret it deeply. I began driving slowly through the apartment complex while still talking to my mother on the phone. We agreed to switch the call to a video chat so that I could show her all the new upgrades and changes. I pulled back through the entrance off the main road and started pointing out the specific building that used to be ours. Right next to it was an empty lot. I explained that the lot used to be a playground. This was where I made my first few mistakes. First, I was holding up a phone to show my mother the surroundings, which likely made it look like I was recording the people nearby. Second, I was pointing my finger at various buildings and areas. Third, I was in a dangerous area but had mistakenly lowered my guard. The reason these details matter is that I passed a man and a woman. I was pointing my hand in their direction. To me, it was a harmless trip down memory lane, but to them, it appeared that I was recording them or targeting them. I had unknowingly angered someone. Even though I now had my 9mm with me and a loaded magazine, I started making some odd choices because I am a very direct person. As I continued driving forward, I realized the man was chasing my car. He was yelling at me and calling me out. He was asking me if I wanted to tussle or fight him. He continued running toward my car and started taking photos of my vehicle and my license plate. Suddenly, I realized I needed to move. I sped up and made up my mind to get out of there immediately. The events that followed were influenced by the fact that I have extensive tactical training. However, in that moment, my adrenaline was pumping hard. Instead of using that energy to stay calm, I let it control my actions. With my mother still watching on video chat, I noticed a car pulling up quickly.